Hi, I'm Mel from Mel's Divination. I'm the owner, creator, and operator of it. And I'd like to ask you to join me today. On this video, we're going to talk about how your journey on the spiritual path is so personal. If you like this channel, this video, please like and subscribe, share, comment, hit the notification bell so you get notifications when I go live. I will be going live more often. I will be posting videos every Wednesday, so try to stay tuned so that you know when I go live. Okay, with that being said, let's get into it. This video is going to be a little bit controversial, so I do want to warn you guys. Some people are not going to love it. So I hope you stay with me. Okay, today we're going to talk about your spiritual path and how some people don't love that it's personal. What am I talking about? Well, in the spiritual community, be it witch, light worker, tarot reader, or other, spiritual warfare has become a thing. Spiritual warfare. I'm using that term for a reason. The terms gatekeeping and elitism, they've all become a thing. Now, I'm not going to get into those terms deep today, but I wanted to mention them quickly. I'm looking down at my notes. For those of you that don't know me, I have notes to keep myself focused. So the reason why I want to address this today is I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and I've been feeling it too. And the podcasts I've been listening to, people are talking about it everywhere. And the people that I know personally have also been going through it. And I've gone through it. And I feel like it needs to be addressed. So we're going to talk about it today. Spiritual warfare, gatekeeping, and elitism are all things that are basically like people trying to tell you how to function in your spiritual journey. Okay? That's all I'm going to talk about there, about those terms for now. We can get into that another time. You can Google them. You can look them up. That's all we're going to talk about today with those. First, we're going to talk about my journey. So when I first began back in the 90s on my path, early 90s, I was 11. I'm 38 now. You can do the math. The internet didn't really exist. My references were library and bookstores when I could actually get to them because I lived in a very small town, so they didn't keep those kinds of books in the library. And my parents wouldn't really take me to bookstores to go look at witchcraft and spiritual books. I was raised Catholic, for those of you that don't know. My intuition and what little friends I could find on the similar path were part of my references. Judgment was huge, so I had to strike out on my own. Being the headstrong, determined, and stubborn girl I didn't really let others sway me. I was very, I'd say, tunnel vision. I was lucky. I had a strong sense of intuition, still do, and I knew my own way in the world where many people don't. I knew when it was right for me to leave the Catholic Church, and I tried to leave earlier on and wasn't really allowed to because when you're 11 and 12 and 13 years old, you don't really have a ton of say of what your life can be when you live with your parents. At least I didn't. So I started to investigate other avenues, and I knew there was so much more out there for me than the church. And I will do a whole video about that another time. That's not what we're talking about today. I'm just giving a super brief backstory to my path. One day I will share that, all about my path. But here I just really want to talk about our individual spiritual paths and how deeply personal they are. Because they are. Nobody has walked in my shoes but me. Nobody has walked in your shoes but you, right? In my years of learning, growing, and finding my way, don't get me wrong, I still am, as I've mentioned this in many videos, There's still so much growth. There's still so much knowledge that I need to learn, and am still learning every day. And I always will be. I've found over the last several years, the tone in the spiritual witch community has changed. And I'm kind of putting those two words together, spiritual and witch, because it's not just spiritual, it's not just witch, it's all encompassing, okay? I don't want to just isolate. I feel like it's started to change. It's shifted, the tone of voice. When I really came out about all of this was in the early 2010s, really big, when I really big came out about it. And the tone was very open, not elitist. There wasn't a spiritual warfare, in my opinion. If you were in the community, you were in the community. It wasn't secluded, it wasn't cliquey. At least in my personal experience, what I saw. So what I'm noticing now, the way it's shifting, it's become much more judgmental. Witches and spiritual people alike have become, have always been, sorry, strike that, have always been fringe beings, where people who live on the outskirts of society were judged by the general population, you know, like by the Christians, by whoever, by people that go to church, and you do that, and why do you do that, and by our own families, and by trying to date. Like I saw something, I'm in a Facebook group, for instance, and with a bunch of readers, and somebody asked, how do you date? How do your significant others handle it when you tell them that you're a psychic? So yeah, it's a fringe life. You're choosing to be on the outskirts if you choose this life. You choose to be out in the open about it, and you choose this life. That's just part of it. People look at you weird. My neighbors know what I do, and they're like, oh, I'm the weird girl that burns weird stuff outside. Yep, I'm that weird girl. And has weird rocks in her windows and does weird stuff. Whatever. And collects sticks. Yep, I'm that girl. I don't care. But I'm the fringe, I'm on the fringe, right? So anyway, it's starting to shift where the spiritual and the witchy people, it's a little bit more mainstream. It's a lot more mainstream for certain people. And it's starting to become a cooler thing, and I will be doing a video about that eventually. And I'm noticing more elitism, more cliques, and areas where people are adopting attitudes where you can't come here, you don't belong. Not getting into specifics about this. I'm doing a general video here today, okay? But I'm noticing, before it used to be, if you're spiritual, if you're a witch, if you're a reader, if you're a psychic, you're all in this big bubble. And now instead it's like I said, it's elitist, it's cliquey, it's, you know, gatekeeping. It's you can't be part of my group, you can't be part of this group, you can't be part of that group. And it's very judgy, and people are telling others how they should and shouldn't be on their own path. And I'm noticing this. People I personally know, people I followed for years online, that I've gotten readings from, that I follow on social media, have talked to others in this tone, or have been spoken to in this way. People that I highly respect or respected. Now, I'm not going to talk about cultural appropriation right now. I'm not talking about cultural appropriation. That is a problem, but it's not what I'm discussing right here. Okay, so that's a separate issue. What I'm talking about is a general cliquey elitist thing, like I'm a better witch than you, I'm a better tarot reader than you, you can't be part of this. The baby witch, the non-knowledgeable tarot reader, the cocky attitudes that people are getting. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So I'm not discussing cultural appropriation, to be clear. That will be another time. We will discuss something like that in another video. What I am talking about is your individual journey. It's just that. My journey is my journey. Your journey is your journey, right? It's individual. So no one can tell you who your deities are or how to work with them or if you should or shouldn't have any. It's my business if I choose deities or not. It's your business if you choose deities or not. No one can tell you if you have to have a god or goddess, if you don't, if you have to be on a witchcraft path or not, if you're Wiccan, if you're not Wiccan, if you're a witch or not. No one can tell you that. That is your personal choice, right? No one can tell you that you should or shouldn't feel a certain way. Oh my gosh, that's something that has been huge lately. Minimizing somebody's feelings. To minimize feelings, and I will do another video about that another time. Again, your feelings are your feelings. How can somebody tell you that you don't feel that way? That your intuition doesn't lead you in that path? You literally feel that way. How can somebody say you don't? Anyway, no one can tell you if you, and I already said this, should be a Wiccan, a green witch, no witch at all, if you should be a light worker. No one can tell you that. That's your personal path and choice. If you work with angels, if you don't work with angels, again, your choice. If you work with 5D, if you work with things that I don't work with, that I'm kind of blanking on other deities, on things from other realms, stuff that I don't work with, so I can't really, my brain isn't really clicking with it, stuff that I don't resonate with. That's your business. Things that I don't resonate with. Your business, right? Just to be clear, the reason why I'm saying all of this is because I've been experiencing and witnessing and hearing about and seeing and hearing other witches talk about somebody's told them this. Somebody's told me I can't. And famous witches that I know, witches that I follow have been told this. Oh, I've been told I can't work with such and such deity because I don't have such and such lineage. I can't do this because I don't have this. I should be doing that because of this. I can't do this because of that. I can't feel this way because of this. And I've been personally told I shouldn't do such because of this. So I'm not going to get into a huge thing about it, but like my personal can'ts and shouldn'ts and shoulds and should nots, I'm not going to share all that, but it's crazy. People can't tell me how I feel. So I really wanted to take a minute and talk about this because there's been a bunch of things that have been compounding here that have been bothering me. And I'm going to do another video. This is the first in a series about this. And I feel like because I was actually inspired by this a little bit by Mystic Dylan and Adela Levine, who I deeply respect. And it was happening to Mystic Dylan. And so I will quote them and I'll link them down below. Somebody was telling him he couldn't practice ancient Egyptian magic because he's not ancient Egyptian. But ancient Egyptian, they don't exist anymore. So I'm sorry if I've insulted anybody, but the ancient Egyptians are all no longer here. So anyway, I just was listening to this going, oh my goodness. So anyway, with some guidance, this is a journey you should be discovering and learning on your own. You should be learning on your own. And then somebody told me that I shouldn't feel a certain way. So, and that I shouldn't be acting a certain way, and I just kind of lost my mind. So, perhaps with some guidance, but it is your journey. Yours, capital yours, right? This is your journey, your connection with your ancestors, your connection with your guides. And if a deity comes to you, a deity comes to you. I've had multiple deities come to me, which I've never disclosed on here because I'm not even working with them yet. And I will be doing a video on deities, but briefly on deities, my personal opinion on deities is you have to be careful. That's my opinion. Some people kind of just throw it all around with them. But I'm not even sure where I got it from. I think it's just from research. But I don't mess with deities. Like, you don't want to make them mad. And, which is funny because something's creaking down my house and I'm alone. So it doesn't creak over there. So there you go. And I'm not going to edit that out. So, and it's happening again. So we'll leave that in. But as confirmation. So, you don't want to make them mad. You want to be respectful with them. So if you see one coming, and I'll do a huge video about deities later, but if one comes to you and says, like, you guys know I work with Archangel Michael, so he's one I'll use as an example because I have referred to him before. But if you work with a deity of some kind, a higher up entity, you want to be respectful. You want to have a relationship with them. You don't want to just call on them out of the blue one day and be like, oh, I'm going to call on, we'll say Hecate, which isn't one I work with at all. I don't work with anybody really. I work with Archangel Michael, but there's a few that I've been guided to work with. Hecate is not one as of right now. I'm not naming any of the ones that I've been guided to work with because it's personal. And one day you just decide, hey, I'm going to call on Hecate for a spell. And you don't develop a relationship with her, you're going to have a problem. So the reason why I haven't worked with my deities yet that I've been guided to, there's actually 4 of them, and they're all female, is I want to do them justice, and I want to do a proper, I keep looking over there because that's where I heard the sound. I want to build a proper relationship with them, and I want to do the proper research. So anyway, but that's my journey. That's my personal journey, and it's nobody's business who my deities are, who I'm being called to work with, and how. It's nobody's business. So that's what I'm talking about. And I haven't shared that because, again, the elitism, the spiritual warfare, the attitude, and nobody needs to know that. So there you go. So there's certain things on your personal journey that you should be keeping to heart. You shouldn't be sharing. You should be keeping quiet. So there's stuff that I will share with you guys, and there's stuff that I won't. I can share that I've been guided to work with deities, but I'm not going to share who they are or how I'm going to work with them. I hope that makes sense. So anyway, no one can tell you if you should or shouldn't be in a coven or what kind of magic you should do, if you're going to do magic, or how you should be practicing. No one can tell you that. Your spirit and soul and situation and how you should be living is your personal choice and nobody else's. So be very cautious about how you're swayed, who you listen to, even me. Listen to other people too. Do your research, okay? Be careful. Be careful about who's pushing their opinions on you, who's being strong and telling you, no, get out of here, you can't. Why not? Always ask why or why not. Ask why with me. Ask why not with me. Ask why with others. Ask why not. Question, do your research. Because when there's people saying no and acting elitist, there's probably, it's like this weird club. It makes me feel like it's a club and if you're being guided to be part of that, you probably should be part of it, whatever it is. Again, I'm not talking about cultural appropriation here. So my point is, I really hope that you're understanding me here, because this was a very tricky subject to try to get across. Only you can know your path. Nobody else can. I can't tell you how to live your life or run your path or do your spiritual path. I've been dictated to far too often about how I should or shouldn't be doing things. So I'm very selective about listening to my ancestors, about listening to my guides, about listening to my inner self. I'm very strong-headed, which is why, if you guys haven't noticed, I'm very strong-headed, which is why I'll sometimes drift away from mentors, or I just do my own thing. And my intuition and guides and ancestors yell back. If somebody tells me to go down a certain path and I'm trying to listen, my ancestors and guides will scream, no, this is not for you. Or yes, you should be doing this, don't listen to so-and-so. And sure, it upsets whoever is trying to prescribe X for me. So if somebody said to me, don't do, I don't know, let's say the tarot. Don't do the tarot, it's dangerous. Because like Doreen Virtue used to say that. Let's say way back in the day. Doreen Virtue used to say, only do angel cards, don't do the tarot, okay? And my guides were like, no, it's fine. You can do the tarot. Just make sure you protect yourself. And it's not a portal, it's not. You're fine, you're protected. So when I listened to my own journey, I was fine. I've never had a problem. I've been reading tarot for years and I've never had an issue. So there you go. My own journey. My own journey. I cleanse myself. I clear myself. I'm constantly doing spiritual baths and I'm fine. So literally in the end, I am on my journey by myself and you are on your journey by yourself. You can't be listening to what other people say. They can give you guidance, but they shouldn't be your end all be all, just like I shouldn't be. We need to trust our own selves and not others. Always listen to that voice inside of you. Don't question your inner guidance. That's what you should be listening to, not the noise outside telling you that you don't belong or you aren't good enough. I hope this helps. I hope this makes sense. Please, if you have questions, comment down below. I'm not trying to attack anybody here, and it probably sounds like I am. I know this was a tricky one, and I am sorry if you feel attacked, but that was not my intent here. It was just something that I really felt like needed to be addressed, and I hope that I've helped some of you. If you like this video, if you like my channel, subscribe, comment, like, share, hit the notification bell for when I go live. Please book a session. Check me out on Instagram, on Facebook. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do PayPal donations or my Amazon wish list is down below. And check out my false prophet video. That one talks a lot about people that are misleading us down the spiritual path. I also have another one about outgrowing our mentors that you may be interested in. Until next time, I'll see you when I see you. Thank you again. Bye.